Hey, do you know how to use meta-model questions and be effective with them? Do you even know what meta-model questions are? I sure in the heck did not know what meta-model questions were about a year ago. I didn't even know what it was, but now that I know them, it's dramatically changed how I communicate with people and how I help people. So welcome back, my winning friend. My name is Zach, and welcome back to another video. And today, we're going to talk about how to use meta-model questions. And we're getting started right now. Alright, so in case you haven't noticed, alright, I've always enjoyed helping people. That's where I get my needs met in life. I get satisfaction from serving other people, from being a part of something that's greater than myself. I've always loved it. It's always been a big thing of mine. I guess it's how my mother raised me, or I guess I was just born that way. I don't know, but it's something that I really enjoy. And up until about a year ago, I would see things and people, I would try and help my friends out or other people, and I would see things in their life that they were doing that were crippling them or holding them back, that just weren't productive for them and that were causing them problems, alright? And when I seen these things, I would of course tell them. I would tell them, hey, you're doing this and you need to stop doing that. This is how you fix it, And when I would do this, of course the advice I would give most of the time was spot on. But so many times because I was telling them, it was like I was preaching towards them, or they didn't hear what I had to say, or because I was telling them and they didn't see it the same way that I seen it, they didn't take action to what I said, they didn't take heed to what I was saying, and they wouldn't change. They would continue to do the same things and run into the same roadblocks, and this would cause me frustration because it would drive me crazy, because I would see them like, how can you keep doing that when I just told you what was wrong and why you're hurting yourself in life, and it would drive me crazy. And I'd want to see them, change and better themselves, but it just wasn't happening until I learned about these meta-model questions. Meta-model questions. That's a tongue twister. And when I learned about these meta-model questions and started using them effectively, it drastically changed. I'm no longer telling people what to do. I'm asking them the right questions, and they're figuring out their problems on their own. And that is like so uplifting and awesome for me, at least. I feel great. I'm able to help, my friends and my children and, anybody I come in contact with these meta-model questions. Alright, so we use these meta-model questions for 3 reasons. To get a person to specify information. Wow, I totally butchered that word. To clarify information, and to open up a person's view of the world. So, people like to generalize things, and they say vague things, and we get them to specify that information that they say when they generalize it, or if they're being vague, we get them to clarify it, to get to the root cause. And then we also ask these questions to open up their view of the world, because how you view the world, how you believe in things, your beliefs literally determine your attitudes and behaviors. So we open up their view of things, and now they're open to other information for other change. The first of the meta-model questions is the how, what, where, when, and who. So this helps you get past that generalization that people often give when they're talking about their problems. So if someone were to say something like, it's just giving me a lot of trouble right now, you could say, what is giving you a lot of trouble right now? And then they kind of get more specific. And then you could say, how is it giving you trouble? And when, and you can get down to the core root issue of the whole problem there. And that's really, really powerful to find out exactly what it is. It gets past that generalization. Another powerful meta-model question is who says, or according to whom. And this is really powerful when people state a lot of times people will state an opinion as if it were a fact. and a lot of us do that. So when people state an opinion as if it were a fact, you hit them with a according to whom or who says. So for instance, if someone says, people just don't like me, you could say, according to whom or who says that, you know, and then now it forces them to get it away from a fact and state it as an opinion. They're going to tell you who doesn't like them. So it's really powerful to open up a person's view of things. Alright, this is one of my favorite ones because people tend to overgeneralize things a lot, and I use this a lot because it's really powerful into getting people to realize that they're doing this. So when and I do this a lot of times with my son. So when people, you basically repeat what they say. So when people say, everybody hates me, or I can't do this, or I'm always, you know, always, everybody, never, those words like you never do this, you know, you simply repeat it back as a question as if they're stupid by saying it. So like for instance, when my son says, I can't do it, you know, and he's 3 years old, right? He says, I can't do this. I'll look at him, you can't? You know, and it'll be something like really simple that he truly can't do, but he wants me to do it. Funny how kids are. So I literally though, I'll be like, you can't, and I might have to do it like a couple times, but then he'll end up trying because he'll give up if I don't do this. He'll stop and then he'll give up on it and he'll quit, and I don't want him to get a quitter. So I'll say, he'll be like, I can't do this for me, Dad. I'm like, no, you can do it, Liam. I'm like, no, I can't do it. And if I would be like, well, keep trying or something, you know, he'd quit. But if I'd be like, you can't do it, you know, when I do that to him, he tries it and he ends up doing it most of the time. So it's really powerful, you know, if someone's saying like, you always, you know, never listen to me, or you never listen to me, you know, and like, you could just basically say, I never listen to you, you know, and then it gets them to open up and to realize that that was a false statement that they just made. Really powerful tip right there. Another great one is, what do you mean by that? You know, so obviously this gets someone to clarify what they're saying, but also a lot of times you can also get them to open up their view of things. So, you know, if someone says, I'm depressed, you know, they're saying I'm depressed, it's saying what they are. You could say, what do you mean by that? And by doing this, it can kind of get them to open up their view of the situation. So they might come at you like, well, when this happens, I feel depressed. You know, and now that they say, I feel depressed, it's something that they do instead of something that they are. It opens up more opportunities to kind of shift that belief, and they also, they're looking at it now as not they are depressed, it just they feel depressed. It's a big difference and really powerful in helping someone to realize certain things about themselves and to make a positive change. So a lot of times people compare themselves to others, and that's the key reason for unhappiness, you know, why people feel inadequate, because they're comparing themselves to other people. However, people will say this, a lot of times they'll overgeneralize statements by comparing themselves to other people. So let's say, I'm no good at this, you know, and when they say that, you know, whatever it may be, let's say, talking on camera, because I'm doing that right now. Let's say, you know, they're getting ready to shoot a video, like, oh, I'm no good at this, you know. You say, compared to who? Compared to whom? You know, and then it'll get them to open up and realize that they're overgeneralizing things, and they'll say, well, you know, so-and-so can do it, you know, why can't I? And that's when you can show them, like, why are you comparing yourself to them? You're not them, you are yourself. So you don't compare yourself to anybody else, you compare yourself to who you were yesterday to who you are today and where you're going. One thing that people do often that limits themselves is by comparing themselves to others. You know, like this is one of the main causes I feel for like depression or feeling inadequate, is because you're not comparing yourself to yourself, you're comparing yourself to other people, which you can't match up to other people and other people can't match up to you. So a lot of times people will compare themselves to others, and then they'll say, I can't do this, you know, like for instance, like say, you know, I'm talking to a camera now, so some people say that they can't talk on camera. You know, someone will be like, I can't do this, and you say in that, at that time you would say, compared to who? You know, if you told me you couldn't do something and I told you compared to who, more than likely you would compare yourself to someone that's either professional at doing whatever it is that we're talking about, or someone that's been doing it and has experience doing it for a while. And then by asking that question, it gets the person to realize that they made an unfair comparison. So it gets them to open up their view of things and to not overgeneralize things. It's really powerful. So many times people make assumptions, make false assumptions off of assumptions, you know, and then they turn those assumptions into facts in their mind. They believe them to be facts. So, you know, somebody might say, he doesn't like me. And a great meta model question would be, how do you know? How do you know? It's really powerful, because if someone says he didn't like me and you say, how do you know? They might say something like, well, I went to the party and walked in and he didn't say hi to me. You know, that's not a true fact that he doesn't like you. There could be a million different things going into play. He could have been busy, could have not seen you, could have been not feeling well, could have, you know, anything. You know, it doesn't mean that he doesn't like you. And people make up these assumptions just based off of, you know, what they perceive things to be, and they make up these false assumptions. So when you say, how do you know, it gets them to state maybe that false belief, and then you can kind of tackle the issue from there. Another really powerful meta model question for when people say I can't. This is something that I'll use with my son as he gets a little bit older. Right now I use it with my friends that are more mature. But when people say I can't, you could say, what stops you and what would happen if you could? And using these two questions in conjunction is very powerful. And the reason why, when you ask someone, when they say, I can't do this, and you say, what stops you? Now they're going to identify the objects that are, you know, that are blocking their path at the time, you know. So they identify the hurdles that they need to come over, you know, and that's cool. That's great, because we all face obstacles, and we get past them, we work on them. So now they identify the obstacles that they need to get past. And secondly, when you ask, what would happen if you could? Now that gets them to imagine what it would be like after they achieve this, and they get to imagine, they see that it's possible, you know, and it starts to shift the whole way that they view things. And by getting them to imagine a desired result of accomplishing that, then they come up with the means to make it happen. It may not be instantly right away, but it's really powerful to use these two questions in conjunction. And lastly, a lot of people make, you know, will have this feeling of that they should do something, but will get held back by feelings of what would or wouldn't happen if they did or didn't do something. So for instance, you know, and getting these questions out in the open is the real problem, is what's holding them back, and getting them out into the open is really powerful, because that's how you attack the real issue. And by doing that, when someone says, you know, for instance, someone might think that they have to work at a certain job, you know, at the same job that they're miserable at, even though that they would want to be doing something completely different. By asking them these two questions, what would happen if you did, and what would happen if you didn't, it gets them to expand their view of the world, their view of the situation, because sometimes their view is very limited. And by asking this, you know, it brings out those two things, you know, the reasons why people don't act on their decisions, because they think about what wouldn't happen if they did or didn't do something. When you ask them that, they get to view it in a more realistic view, I guess you would say, and they can come up with better options for the problem, and they can find a better solution for that by using these two questions. What would happen if you did? What would happen if you didn't? And they get to imagine and visualize the end result on the other side, because a lot of times they don't even get that far. They stop before that. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch more videos that are going to help you become a masterful communicator, then make sure you check out this playlist right there. And if you know anybody that just is not a great communicator, maybe after watching this video you see where they might have fell short with some of these tactics involved, maybe you could share this video with them, because the right message at the right time can help the right person change their life forever. And that's what we're about here on Win with Zach. And share this video on social media, on your favorite social media site. Share it. Let's reach more people. Let's get more people involved in this community, because that's what we're all about here. And you play a major role in that, my friend. And if you want to reach your potential and crush your goals, start right now by hitting subscribe and tap the bell notifications. That way you don't miss anything. And as always, my winning friend, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.